Well, hello everyone. Oh boy. As if I wasn't tired enough already, we have this. And unfortunately, I can't really even say that too many units suck on this one. So here we are. It is the 7-star quick, and I do mean quick. We are going to try to be quick as possible. Look over of all of the new 7-star upgraded units. Tell you which ones I think. This time we will be talking about the 3 most improved and the 3 least improved, which I already have my opinions on, so shouldn't change that much while I'm talking about it. First of all, we're going to dig right in. We are going to go off with... There he is. We're going to talk about Nyx first. Well, first of all, Nyx's Super Trust Mastery is 158 attack, 50 defense, dagger with extra 20% HP and 20% to all elements. Not bad. What happened to his Limit Burst? Well, maxed out at a 7-star plus, meaning for the future reference, 7-star plus just means that they have their TMR ability equipped, which usually upgrades their Limit Burst. Maxed out, it is an 800% AoE 4-hit physical attack, ignoring 50% defense, and an AoE stat buff removal, AoE 3-turn, minus 60% fire resistance. It debuffs fire resistance, which is good because that's what Nyx kind of relies on, but from a 520% to an 800%, it's up to 1600%, but it really still doesn't feel that big. So in his 7-star kit, by equipping his TMR, which his TMR was originally that materia that was only, well, 20% to all stats, now he gets an extra 30% attack and HP, gains 2 limit burst crystals, 40% extra attack when dual wielding, so 70% almost makes up for how bad and mediocre his TMR was, and it upgrades his limit burst. Here's the weird thing. He gains a use 2 abilities per turn. Thought he could do that already with dual casting. Now, of course, I think there was 1 or 2 of his old abilities that couldn't be double cast but just by dual wielding, but still, this is a beyond baffling choice for Alum to do. Really, just beyond baffling. And I'm taking this out because, well, I have a long night tonight. I still got to stream for hours. But it's a baffling and confusing choice why Alum chose to do this. I don't know. I really don't understand. Now, his cooldown abilities, available turn 1, 4-turn cooldown, self 3-turn, plus 140% to all stats, and grants his use of an ability per turn. Which is a lose 99% HP, 1400% AoE 1-hit physical attack. Moving on. And available on turn 1 on a 19-turn cooldown, an AoE except self, fill 28 limit burst crystals, self OHKO. I hate this ability so much. 28 limit burst crystals isn't enough to fill a lot of limits or certain limit bursts. To my knowledge, I'm pretty sure there are some that cost more, so no, just no. His last ability gives an extra 40% attack, 20% HP, and for equipping a dagger, and gives a 50 or 150% modifier to certain attacks. Nyx didn't turn out so well this time. We'll come back to it. Now, Jiraiya has super TMR, is 155 attack, 110 magic, dark element katana with an extra 15% HP, because why the hell not? Interestingly, his limit burst, again, 7-star plus, which is just what I'm calling it now. Well, actually, Reddit's calling it that, and I'm just talking about Reddit stuff, and stuff I've read. So, maxed out, it's a 2720 for some reason. Percent AOE 7-hit Thunder hybrid attack. Trying to hold in a sneeze. Thunder hybrid, I mean, from what it was before, in his 6-star, it was a 1400%, so it got a big increase. Other than that, it grants some extra abilities for 3 turns, which isn't new. It used to do that in the 6-star, so it's okay. It's alright. It's decent. It's a big increase for his limit burst. Now, equipping his TMR, which is a nice accessory, gains him 2 limit burst crystals per turn and 20% chance to dodge magic attacks. Interesting. As well as a 50% physical and magic damage versus humans. Killers are nice. In his 7-star kit, he also gets a 50% boost to attack and magic and a 610% damage modifier for one of his abilities and 430% for another. Did Jiraiya just get massively increased? He has a 45 MP evade attacks and 2-turn evade attacks max 1 for 2 turns. Self 3-turn gives dark to his attack, so he seems to be very big on the dark. He gets a new 240 per single target 1-hit hybrid attack, minusing 75% fire, thunder, and dark resistance, so that's pretty good for himself. And his cooldown ability, available turn 5, is a 3600% 1-hit hybrid attack. Self gives himself limit burst crystals. That's a pretty good cooldown ability, I gotta admit. For 84 MP, that's a lot. Someone needs to do something with Jiraiya. I only have 1, but someone needs to do something. And his last ability gives an extra 40% when dual wielding, and for both attack and magic and 20% HP. He did okay in his 7-star kit, to be totally honest. He did okay. We're not even close to being done. Next up is Bosch, one of the new tanks to hit 7 stars. Super Dress Mastery is at 50% HP, 30% Spirit, 30% chance to counter magic with a self 50 MP recovery. That's a lot of MP recovery right there. His limit burst goes up to a 1900% single target 2-hit fire attack with evasion for 3 turns of 3 attacks. Good for a tank. Kind of. By equipping his TMR, just one of my favorite shields in the game, 30% to defense and spirit, that's great for him, 50% extra to thunder resistance. Hey, he can't be damaged by thunder so much. That's good news. And he gains 2 limit burst crystals per turn. Seems fine. Interestingly though, he gains a dual cast for his break abilities, which are all only 50% right now, but maybe his enhancements will help that. Possibly. Very possibly. In his kit, though, he has a self 3-turn auto revive with 80% and AoE, except self give 5 limit burst crystals. So he charges the team and he puts auto revive on himself. For a tank, that's really good. It's really good. For 99 MP, available turn 1, 5-turn cooldown, self 100% to all stats, single target 3-turn minus 65% to all stats. It's a super buff yourself, screw the enemy, 3-turn debuff. I actually really like this. I really like this cooldown ability. It's just a nice general full break that boosts himself, which you want that on your tank. Just first of all, put your magic cover on or physical cover, and then let Bosch do something really useful the next turn. For 15 limit burst crystals, he can AoE 3-turn plus 80% to defense and spirit and heal the group, which is a nice way that doesn't use MP. Gives himself 20% MP and 30% extra HP, 20% to spirit, or defense, sorry, when equipped with a heavy armor. and 20% spirit when equipped with a light armor. So depending on what armor you have, you get some extra stuff. Also, he has auto protect and auto shell. Given that dispel is a thing, this makes your tank potentially just more survivable. In general, I really like this. I don't think it's super great, and it's a little confusing, but it's also not really that bad either. Speaking, though, of tanks, we have Doubront, and holy cow, someone gave some love to Doubront. Now, his Super Trust Mastery reward is 1000 HP, 18 attack, 81 defense helmet with an extra 20% HP, because they said, oh, 1000 HP, that's a nice boost, flat boost, let's give him an extra more. As it turns out, this is a kind of a big deal. So his limit burst is maxed out as a 700% AoE 2-hit physical attack, ignoring 50% defense, and a 50% chance to OHKO an enemy, and gives him an ability, the same ability for one use. Sure, why not? Equipping his TMR gives himself an extra 20% HP and MP, and auto uses a 10% damage mitigation. Hey, that's pretty good for a tank, as it turns out. And he heals himself per turn. See, no complaints. Moving on, available turn 1 for 99 MP on an 8-turn cooldown, you know this is big then, is an AoE 2-turn plus 80% fire and dark resistance. That's pretty good coverage for the team. Need a bit of a drink. Plus 100% to all stats and a 100% chance to be targeted for 2 turns. Hey, that's really, really good. And he gets a 3-turn 75% chance to defend allies from physical damage with a reduced damage by 50 to 70%. He's a provoke tank who got a little bit of physical cover. He is really nice. He also gets some damage modifiers for a couple of his abilities, one of which is, well, he gets 30% attack, but a 450% modifier for a couple of his abilities. Super nice. And he has a single target, 3-turn, 30% magic damage reduction. There's 7 limit burst crystals. He's not much of a magic tank, but I guess he could boost the magic tank. That's really nice of him to do. And he has a ability for 74 MP, which is another cooldown, available turn 6, 5-turn cooldown, 1200% single target 2-hit physical attack, 1200% single target 2-hit magic physical attack with defense as attack. So 2 attacks with 2 hits each, one of them based on attack, one of them based on defense. And his defense can hit 1300%. This guy... Did Doubront just become amazing? Is that what happened? Anyway, and his last ability is a 50% defense and 30% equipped attack when dual wielding, 30% equipped defense when dual wielding. So another 80% in there. He's all attack and defense. Not much in terms of no new magic abilities, but all of his stuff is focused on physical, and that's really where it needed to be. This is okay. This is pretty good. Oh, sorry, gotta change. It's what the hell are you talking about, YouTube? It's freaking public. God damn. YouTube is freaking stupid sometimes. Okay, rolling on. Let's talk about the Black Sheep. CG Jake, a 2-handed 160% attack for a super TMR with a damage variance or a limit burst boost of 1.3 times with a 60% accuracy and a 1.3 to 1.7 times damage variance. Basically, kind of the exact same as that new guy, Vincent, that I just talked about in the last video. Except I think Vincent's is better, except this has limit burst damage, so... I'm split. Anyway, moving on. So what did his become? Well, maxed out at a 7-star for 40 limit burst crystals, which is really expensive still. 1200%, ignoring 50% defense, so let's just round it up to 2400% AoE attack, and it still gives himself a 99% attack and defense debuff for 2 turns after. Now, can be prevented, but do you really want to use it still? Freya's limit burst is considerably stronger for a 1-hit attack, so Jake is kind of outmatched in that. But for equipping his TMR, 30% extra attack, 40% extra attack when dual wielding, 200% modifier to one ability, 150% there, 375% there. Okay. In his 7-star kit, he does get a lot of new abilities. For instance, a 24 physical hit with an AoE 1-hit physical attack with a 1-hit turn delay. So 360%, 24 hits, AoE, and then the next turn he hits for 1 attack at 120%. Okay. 54 MP, 620%, single target 3-hit attack, which grants him a couple of abilities for a turn. One of his cooldown abilities gives him a 5-turn, 3-turn. Available turn 1, 5-turn cooldown, 3-turn self plus 150% damage versus machine and stone. Again, like Vincent, very situational. And his next ability gives him an extra 50% naturally versus machine and stone enemies. Okay. For 150 MP on a available turn 5 4-turn cooldown, self-remove all of his debuffs and boosts himself by 100 and gives himself basically a limit burst. I hate that ability for so many reasons, particularly it only gives himself it kind of fixes limit burst, but at 150 MP, that seems really terrible. Because, again, there's this unit called Freya. Her limit burst is so much better, and it deals magic damage, not physical damage. So, and then there's CG Citra. God damn it. Anyway, his last cooldown ability is a 2-turn plus 150% attack and grants him an ability for a turn, which the abilities are... Let me take one more look at it. Anyway, with his super TMR, yes, his limit burst would be more powerful, and his last ability that really is worth talking about at 120 gives an extra 1.3 times for limit burst damage with 25% limit burst fill rate, but those debuffs, man. Alum tried. I think Alum tried to make this guy. Maybe he's way better than I'm giving him credit for, but Freya exists. God damn it. Anyway. Oh, we're almost halfway through. No, we're not. Oh, holy I just took a look at the list. I don't think this hour-long music is going to be enough. I'm not whining. I'm just... Anyway, moving on to Shara. Emperor Shara, that is. Super Thrust Mastery, an accessory that gives 32 defense and spirit, 50 fire resistance, 40% HP, and 30% to spirit with a light shield, 30% to defense with a heavy shield. My voice cracked. Great for tanks. Not so sure. Definitely not super great for him. Max 7-star limit burst with the his TMR ability goes up to a 650% AoE, 11-hit physical attack, ignoring 50% defense. So about 1300%. It's okay. Uses 4 random status effects, 2-turn 40% damage reduction to the party. AoE recovers 10% MP for the party, and 2-turn AoE plus 25% to Aquan, Beast, and Bird. Hey, that's cool. He helps the party do extra damage. And it's only 26 limit burst crystals. What a deal. In his kit, however, for equipping his TMR, he does get those exact same killers, and he gets 3 limit burst crystals per turn and the upgrade to the limit burst we just talked about, blah, blah, blah. Now, in his kit, this is kind of interesting. He gains a dual cast ability, so you could make him true dual wield, I guess. Nothing in his kit has ever really seemed super true dual wield. I guess he has 2 sword mastery kind. No, never mind. I guess you build him. Because he has the dual cast, this makes more sense than Nyx. Let's put it that way. And that's not a super strong argument to be making, I know. He has a 235% single target, 7 hit, Holy Explosion, Divine Ruination, physical attack, ignoring 50% defense, so 470%. It's okay. It's okay. His cooldown ability for turn gives himself a fire to his attacks, as well as he can give fire to someone else's attacks for 3 turns and to himself. That's kind of cool, actually. Available on turn 1 too. So Divine Ruination family, he can just do it, but if you have fire weapons, who cares? For 108 MP on available turn 1, 5 turn cooldown, gives everyone 100% fire resistance, 3 turn, plus 100% to magic and attack, and an AoE 150% limit burst fill rate. Okay, 20% to, and his last ability, really, that's worth talking about, level 120. Besides 20% to all spirits, 25% accuracy, he gives either 100% attack when two-handing or 30% when dual-wielding. So you have options with him, but since he can dual cast, you better be doing true dual hand, I guess? And he can give himself fire, but you'll want a fire weapon of some kind. Probably. Maybe. Moving on. And I'm maybe splitting this video in 2 because we're already at 22 minutes. Oh my god. Next up is Kid Rydia. Oh my god. Speaking of oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Super Thrust Mastery, 24 defense, 52 magic, 38 spirit, hat with increased summon damage and 10% extra from all Esper stats. That's really good for a whole bunch of people, but we're not done yet. Her limit burst maxed out at a 7-star for 24 limit burst crystals, 2,800% AoE, 40 hit summon attack. So if it's doing summon damage, 2,800% is a lot. 40 hits too? I want to know the frames on this thing. Is this thing potentially chaining with CG Sakura? That's insane. That's a pretty damn strong attack. She doesn't get any new spells, but in her 7-star kit for equipping her TMR, which is summon boost damage, he gets 5% MP recovery per turn, 50% extra to summon damage, and 150% modifier for a couple of her abilities. She's basically kind of like Yuna in that sense. Her summon attacks get increased nicely. Her turn 1, 3-turn cooldown fills the summon gauge for 7 to 10 Esper crystals. Oh my god, that's beautiful. And a short cooldown, 76 MP, but beautiful. She gets an extra 30% magic and spirit, which is good because to my memory, well, her summon attacks are earth and water. Okay, never mind. Maybe they're not based on that, but still, it seems okay. And a 100% modifier for a couple abilities. She gains a W ability to use a couple abilities per turn, so she's kind of like CG Citra, interestingly. She can double cast her summon abilities. Cool. Cool. And available on a 6-turn, available turn 6, 5-turn cooldown for 99 MP. She has a 1600% AoE 20-hit magic attack and a AoE 3-turn minus 75% to water, wind, and earth. Interesting. She's focused on different elements. That's kind of fun. Gives you some different options in your fight. Plus, the debuff to elemental resistance basically strengthens her summon attacks. Interesting. Her summon attacks have an element attached to them too, so that's pretty interesting. She gives herself an extra 20% magic and 30% to HP MP and 50% when equipping, when two-handing anything with 50% extra to magic when two-handing, 50% equipped magic when dual-wielding, and a 25% chance to counter with a max 1 ability that fills the limit or the summon gauge by 2 Esper crystals. We'll talk about Kid Rydia in a little bit. There's something else I want to talk about her. And next up, it's Helmetless Kain. Now, Helmetless Kain, his super TMR is 168, single-hand lance with 15% HP and increases jump damage by 50%. What this freaking lance? What this freaking lance? Dragoons, please be good. Now, his limit burst goes to basically a 1700% one-hit physical attack for 24 limit burst crystals. Okay, nothing super special about it. Limit burst really isn't what we're interested in here. For equipping his TMR, he gets an extra 20% to Spirit NP, 30% to equipped attack when dual-wielding, 25% accuracy, and 50% attack when two-handing, and his limit burst fill rate goes up 50%. So, options. You can either true dual hand or make him a dual wield unit. I'll give you a hint. Dual wield is the correct answer. I think. Possibly. Maybe not. I'm still sticking with him. And he has a 1-turn time jump, 580% single target, 1-hit physical attack. Time jumps are amazing, that 580%. I don't normally do this, but here we go. So if you remember my video earlier, I was able to get Duke's time jump to about 200 million-ish damage and his time jump was a 470%. So very curious how much damage this guy can do. Other than that, he gains natural wield 2 lances, 30% attack when equipped with a lance, 120% modifier for a couple of his extra abilities. So he gains dual wield, so make him just a freaking dual wield. Anyway, 99 MP, 5-turn cooldown, or available turn 5, 4-turn cooldown, 1000%, 1 single target, 3-hit physical attack, ignoring 50% defense, so 2000% attack. Pretty nice cooldown ability. And a 72 MP, 3300%, well, it's kind of interesting. It does only 330% single target, but it gives 125% physical attack per turn for 5 turns. So it ups his physical damage by 125%. Okay, interesting. And his last ability, 20% to all stats, and 1.25 times to his limit burst damage, which, okay, it's fine. I still don't think his limit burst is super special, but overall his kit's pretty solid. And so for the last one, for part 1, we are going to end on an extremely strong note, which is CG Lid. Technically, Kain was still on screen. Anyway. Next up, CG Lid. Her Supercharged Mastery is 154 attack hammer with 20% HP, gain 3 limit burst crystals per turn, and 50% damage versus machines. Nice little hammer you got there, Lid. Please don't hit me with it. But here's the big thing. Maxed out, 7-star limit burst, 1100% AoE, 1-hit physical attack with 2-turn, minus 79% to attack, defense, magic, and spirit. The biggest debuff in the game, by far, 79% is insane, Lid might just be the crutch to get your butt through a whole bunch of challenges. Now the only problem is her limit burst goes up a little bit more in cost to 32 crystals. But still, that debuffing is just insane, and who cares about the rest of her kit? Probably you. So she gets an extra 20% to HP, MP, gains 2 limit burst crystals per turn. She has a random ability on a cooldown, available turn 1, 3 turn, which does a random debuff? Really? Either does an AoE 2-turn attack, defense, magic, or spirit debuff for 84%, can't choose what you get, or an AoE 2-turn minus 55% to all stat debuff. Okay, randomness. I guess I asked for randomness, so here's some randomness. And available on turn 1, 9-turn cooldown, she has a scan target, 2-turn, minus 74% debuff to all stats. Long cooldown, but okay. And for 64 MP on available turn 1, 9-turn cooldown, single target stat buff removal. Good against enemies, cool. And her last ability is a 20% buff to all of her stats and a 30% chance to counter with a ability that gives... That can't be right. No, that's the right one. 30% MP to herself and fills 2 to 3 limit burst crystals for the group. It's a pretty nice little counter you got there, Lid. Lid ended up being really good. So I'm going to cut the video here because it's over 30 minutes and yeah, it's just too long. I need to take a quick break and then I will come back and talk about the rest of the 7 stars as well as my top 3 for biggest and least. Most improved and least disappointing. Most improved and most disappointing. See you in a minute.